Hey guys, Morelli here with a new nouthuca team. I really wanted to use this team because it has an Azumarill in it, and it's my favorite Pokemon, so I thought it'd be really fun to share this team with you guys. This is a pretty offensive Eternatus team, as in, most of my Pokemon focus on winning 1v1 matchups, but there's also the synergy with the Toxic, Leech Seed, and the 3 substitutes, and the King's Shield, so I really like this team. Let's see how it works. Aegislash is very physically defensive, and it's going to be my main check to the Zacian. First team, we have a pretty bulky balanced Eternatus team, and the first thing I've noticed is Mimikyu has a really good matchup, except that I don't have a Fairy Moon. So that is unfortunate, but I will still pick Mimi, and I think I pick my Eternatus as my lead and bring Azu and Mimikyu. So Azu will try to chip down the Celesteela for the team, and I'm trying to bring Azu as much as possible, and it works out here, as it is going to be my main way to soak up the hit from the Finny. It won't be a good long-term answer, but for short-term, it'll be it'll be my best way to actually switch in. Yep, and here Eternatus, because my set doesn't have a poison move, I will have to go out into my Alpha here. Kind of hoping that he scouts for the poison move, but because I am using a gnome block team, that there is a chance that my opponent just stays in, because because Finny was faster. That's a Scarf Finny, so I am able to switch into the Moonblast. And he gets a crit with the Moonblast, which is really awkward for me because that means that I'm going to have a really difficult time switching into the Phoenix for the second time. And I'm going to be forced to go for the play rough here. I don't really want to try to, as Celesteela comes out, but I didn't want to liquidation into the Finny and just lose my Azu for nothing. And this is going to give me some opportunity to chip down the Celesteela with a liquidation and make sure to try to win with the Mimikyu, because Azu did get crit, it doesn't have too much HP left, so I'm not gonna get too much value out of Dynamaxing this anymore. So I'm gonna do best with what I've got and preserve this. I still need to preserve this Azu. I have enough HP to take at least one more Moonblast, and that is gonna mean that I'm gonna go into my substitute Celesteela. Hopefully I can get a sub up against his, the Leech Seed, but if I don't, that is still not the end of the world. But if he actually Leech Seeded on the switcher, that could have gotten really grim really fast. But now I am able to switch in safely. I was able to switch in safely. I'm gonna go for a very free substitute, and even if he goes hard out into the Finny, which honestly I don't think is a good play, but honestly, judging by the first turn Moonblast, I have a kind of a feeling that he might know what sets I am, or at least have a general idea of what my sets are. So I'm able to get a free substitute here, and I'll just go for the Flamethrower, and even if he goes, hoping that he stays in, but even if he were to say go hard into the top of any, which is possible, then I'll still be able to get two Moonblasts, two Flamethrowers off of it, and try to chip it down in range of Mimikyu. So my opponent seems to be aware of what my sets are. That is perfectly fine. The Finny doesn't have any defensive investment, so that is going to still take a sizable chunk from the resisted non-zap Flamethrower. And yeah, I'll just go for the Flamethrower and see what he locks himself into. So, and he goes for the Ice Beam, which I don't think is a very well thought out play, because Ice Beam means that Azu is going to be able to switch in freely for one more time. I can't even get frozen because of the misty terrain, and that kind of almost makes up for the critical Moonblast here, as I am able to switch into the Ice Beam and still have enough HP to take follow-up Moonblast later in the game. Of course, because he is locked into Ice Beam, he cannot go for a follow-up Moonblast now, but thinking a bit more in advance here. And this time I will go for the the liquidation. He is locked into Ice Beam, so yeah, he switches out into the Celesteela. And I'm going to be able to get quite a bit of damage on this, immediate damage on this. And that does plenty. And I'm gonna actually take this opportunity to go for a follow-up liquidation, and that will for sure put the Celesteela in KO range of +2 max Phantasm. Goes for the Leech Seed, which is correct play here. He wants to recover as much health as possible, but this is still quite low. And actually, I think I'm just gonna go for a follow-up play liquidation here, because I want to deny any possibility of double Leech Seed into the yeah, if he predicted me to switch out and went for a second Leech Seed, that could have been really bad. So he doesn't do that though. He goes for the Finny switch in, which is a good mid round, I would say. But that still means that the Celesteela is left at quite the low HP. And I think I just go for a play rough. Aquajet won't. Aquajet, both are fine. I think he won't. He will stay in. He won't afford to take the risk and switch around in front of this Azu, which is incredibly threatening here. But at the same time, Aquajet isn't going to be doing too much damage anyway, so I can see the reasoning for either or here. So he does stay in and go for the Moonblast. And this is going to be a great opportunity for me to get in my Mimikyu and get a Sword Stance up. And I am in a really good position to sweep here. So he does elect to go for a Moonblast and break my disguise, which is a good play, because if I were to have Sword Stance up on him switching out, that could have gone really badly for him as well. So here he is in +2 quick Shadow Sneak range, so I will go for it. He could have Dynamax, which might have been a bit sketchy, but I think I still live max Geyser, so at full, so I was okay just going for the sneak. And this time I will go for the Phantom Force. I mean max Phantasm, and that's going to probably be knocking her out, even if against the fully physically defensive Celesteela and Dynamaxing. That is going to still be a favorable role for me to KO, and he doesn't even go for it. He goes for the Protect, and that means that I got to get some extra chip and lower his defense. And that now, even if he Dynamaxes, I am taking this KO for sure. And I am expecting him to go for the sack onto this Celesteela, and I'll be able to get a +2 max Phantasm onto whichever Pokemon is Dynamaxing. And then I'll be able to stall out his Dynamax with the substitute. So I am in a pretty good position here, so... But he does switch out into the Tyranitar, which I think is a pretty strange play. If he knew that I had my two ghost moves, and then it's obvious that he needed to save this Tyranitar, right? And that does way over 50, so I am just gonna take all the damage that I can get. But he switches out, and he's going to sack the Celesteela. So yeah, so he was way better off just letting the Celesteela die to the Phantasm. And that way, he could have just gone for the Dynamax and taken half damage from the Phantasm. And that would have left him comfortably above half. And that would have given him more chances to actually come out on top. But now, he has no chance. I'm just gonna use Substitute and stall out his Dynamax. He could go for Rock Blast. If he does go for it, that'd be a real good play, but he doesn't. And this way I am just gonna stall out the 3 turns of Dynamax with Substitutes. He goes for the Max Quake, which is fair because I don't have Play Rough, and the special defense increase means that he's going to be able to take much less damage from the Eternatus, the Dynamax Cannon. Yeah, so I'm gonna use my 2 turns of Substitute, and it looks like I won't be able to go for a 3rd Substitute. I'm just gonna Phantom Force here and land on after the final turn of Dynamax. Of course, as you saw the +2 of Phantasm do above half, barely above half, that means that the base Phantom Force is gonna be doing less. That's not gonna get the kill, but it's gonna be at low enough HP for my Eternatus to clean up. So my Phantom Force lands, and that puts the Tyranitar in red. And he's gonna go for the Earthquake and knock out this Mimikyu for sure. And let's see how much damage I can do with the Eternatus. Actually, I am thinking the only way I can lose this is if he is AV and he is able to survive 2 Dynamax Cannons. It does seem unlikely, but I don't really want to calc, so I'm just gonna go for the Toxic and Substitute. That's gonna do 6%, 12%, 18% over 2 turns, and my suspicion is that 18% is going to be doing more than whatever this Dynamax Cannon does. So he does quite a bit with the Earthquake. But I can substitute here and just lock up the game. So let's see if I need another turn, or if Toxic will take it out. Toxic damage takes out the Tyranitar, and I will win this game here. This time we're against a Kyogre team. Interestingly enough, he has a bunch of setup options with the Blaziken, with the Powdon, with the Mimikyu, and he has the Kyogre as well. So I am going to be bringing the AV Azu, which does has a really good matchup, offensive matchup against the team. Mimikyu also really good at trading damage against it. And I'm just going to bring the substitute Eternatus at the lead position. And that means I should get at least some favorable chances to come out on top in the lead matchup. Here, I lead the Eternatus against the Hippowdon. So I do have a few options here. I could just go for the Toxic. Alternatively, I could just put down immediate damage with the Dynamax Cannon. I do go for the substitute here. I do think that was a bit of a hasty play. Because in case, if he has Whirlwind, which a lot of hippos do, then he's not gonna yawn now. He's gonna either EQ or a Whirlwind, and he's gonna be able to get around the substitute without wasting any turns. So yeah, him going for the Stealth Rock was fairly safe for him if I weren't spec'd. So I can't really blame him for going for the rocks, and I didn't get enough leverage out of this substitute as I should have, I think. So next time I play against the Hippowdon, I will definitely do better. But this comfortably takes out at least a third of its HP. And Whirlwind brings out, let's see what it brings out. It brings out the Azu, which is honestly really favorable for me. If I went into the Mimikyu, that could have gone pretty badly. And here I'm just gonna go for the Dynamax Liquidation. Just wanna knock it out before it gets to do anything funny with the, what do you call, the yawns. And even if he were to be some kind of turbo hippo and go before my Max Geyser, and that is still fine, because that means that I'll be able to go for the Max Starfall on the next turn and mitigate the yawn. So still kind of hoping that he will be slower than my Azu. I go for the Max Geyser. That this definitely kills, and I am in a great position to trade damage with this Azu. Azu does a lot of damage naturally. I now have the rain as well, so he needs to bring in a water resist to even have a chance of winning this 1v1. He brings out the Kyogre, so I'm just gonna go for the easy Max Starfall here. And let's see how much damage I take from either the Thunder or the... He does Dynamax, so this is going to be a Max Lightning from a Kyogre. And let's see how much damage I take with the Assault Vest. That does nothing. Azu, very strong here, and I can actually take another, because I'm going to be going for the Max Starfall, and that is going to be resetting the terrain. He does not get the, what do you call it, the electric terrain boost from his follow-up Max Lightning, and that means that I'll be able to go for a Max Starfall, the second one, and I'll be able to finish it off with an Aqua Jet on top of that. So Kyogre left at very low HP, even with the resist. It's so low, and I am an Azu in rain, so this is definitely gonna KO the Kyogre here. Let's see what he goes for. He goes into Metagross, and that means that I can just win with the Mimikyu, honestly. The Azu does a ton to this Metagross, and 1/3 HP with neutral Aqua Jet, so that is plenty of damage here. I am just going to go for... he's gonna go for the Bullet Punch before my Azu. But the rain runs out, and with the Mimikyu and the Eternatus, I should be in a pretty good position to clean up the game here. I'm gonna go for the Eternatus first, and that way I want to save my Mimikyu Shadow Sneak for the Kyogre. So I don't... So I'll just go for the Flamethrower here. Cause the Kyogre is at such low health, I should be able to take the KO on the switch in. And if the Metagross stays in, now he's in Shadow Sneak range. So I will take this game here. Well played by him. Bullet Punch probably knocks this out, but he can't really stop Shadow Sneak times 2, just cleaning up the low health members of his team. So yeah, he's gonna forfeit. Well played. Good game. And this time we're against Calyrex Shadow Rider team. He has a bunch of interesting Pokemon. So he's got the Charizard, which you don't really see much anymore, because Tyranitar is really common. And he also has a Type Null. So he's trying to set up his Calyrex with the Type Null. So we should watch out for that. So I am probably going to lead Azu. Azu has a perfect matchup here offensively. He has 2 fire types, the Dracovish, and special attacking Pokemon. So I am able to trade damage well against basically everything on his team. And after that, there's very little he can do as counterplay. I'm a bit concerned about the Type Null sitting on my team, so I'm just gonna bring the Aegislash and Eternatus just because it's just strong. And I have the type advantage coming in on turn 1. I have no reason not to really go for the Max Geyser here. And this should just KO the Charizard. And if he Dynamaxes, and I really don't get it, but this is going to be setting the rain. And so whatever his follow-up Pokemon is going to be forced to take a rain-boosted Max Geyser. And I don't think he has anything that can actually do that. Yeah, he goes for the Max Overgrowth, but you saw the damage, how much Kyogre did with the Max Lightning. Yeah, that is nowhere near enough. In fact, I would have survived it without having to Dynamax. So, poor Charizard, he takes the Max Geyser. Let's see if he has some kind of bulk investment, maybe? No.
and he's gonna go for the type null here. I'm a bit concerned about potentially going for some kind of weird thunder wave, try attack, that kind of thing. So I am just going to go for the max starfall, eliminate any outs for him. So yeah, he does go for the try attack, but I got the messy terrain up. He can't actually do anything with that try attack. And I'm gonna just go for the max knuckle here, boost my damage even further, and should be doing a lot. He goes for the U-turn here, so he is going to get in the Calyrex against the Azu with full health. He is not going to take any damage switching this in, and let's see how much damage he can do to this Azu. I will just go for the liquidation here. He goes for the Psyshock, so this goes around the Assault Vest, but he just doesn't have enough power. And I'll be able to go for the liquidation and bring him down to Focus Dash. So I'm just gonna Aqua Jet and win the game here. So Azu coming in clutch. Had a good matchup, but it really put in a lot of work here. I'm going to show you guys the rental code again, and the link will be in the description. Thank you guys, bye.